Yeah, I mean, Alice came down and that was when he no, that was 2020. Yeah. The tax here for backup, I just told him, like, we unstated myself. Trying to build huh? Yeah, yeah, because when the mayor is elected, usually they start in early May. So, okay.
I mean, that was a Jerry decision off the record.
Might surprise you.
I just kept, I liked it, so I was like, you don't like it. Right.
Okay. My friend. Hey, son.
¿Cómo te ves? Todo bonito.
Other posters too if you want. Yeah, we can mix it up. Nice.
Well, thank you. You're in? Oh, God, of course. Oh.
I don't have much, but I'll get what I can.
Yeah, no, most of us do more than.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to have it again. Is keeping this up?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the draft order. I'm going to get started really quick so we can get out of here by 10.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Whichever.
Okay. Are we good? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Anusha Thodokora. I'm the Executive Director at Citizen Action Illinois, and I'm proud to be here today on behalf of the Illinois Revenue Alliance, a statewide coalition of grassroots organizations and individual activists fighting for tax justice in the state of Illinois. We have always felt the need for progressive revenue in our state. We have an unfair tax structure where billionaires and large corporations do not pay their fair share. But this need has never been more pronounced, with last Friday over 150,000 Illinoisans losing access to SNAP benefits due to federal work requirements. We need Illinois to stand up to protect the needs and essential services for working families across Illinois. So I'm so proud to be here today with a group of fierce advocates and legislators to fight for fair revenue proposals. This week, the House and Senate committees on revenue will be considering via subject matter hearings proposals to tax billionaires and large corporations and pay their fair share. First, we are going to hear from Cornelia Sims with Power Pack, Illinois.
Good morning, everyone. As she said, my name is Cordelia Sims. My friends and hopefully the SNAP and tax revenue will call me Cece. Thank you for having me here. As I said, my name is Cece. I am a lifelong Chicagoan and a proud auntie and great aunt, a home care worker, an early learning outreach ambassador, community leader with community organizing and family issues, and Power Pack, Illinois, and I am a SNAP recipient. I am one of the people who could face cuts to my SNAP benefits due to the federal cuts and changing work requirements. I am a home care worker providing care for elderly adults and children with disabilities. I received a letter in the mail stating that I would need to take on additional clients and increase my hours in order to continue my SNAP benefits. The number of hours that I work is not always set by me. The flexibility in my job is something that I used to value, but now it feels like a barrier to making sure I qualify for the benefits I need. Home care workers are paid on an amount that falls below the poverty level. Even though I am working, I find it difficult to make ends meet. SNAP helps fill the gaps that my wages can't cover. If I lose my SNAP benefits, I would suddenly find myself in a position where I would have to choose which bills for the month would have to go unpaid. Currently, my wages cover my housing, gas, lights, and phone bill. Knowing that I have SNAP to pay for food allows me to scrape by paying other important bills. The impact stretches beyond myself. I live with my sister, and I'm often cooking for many nieces, nephews, great-nieces, and nephews. We share meals as a family to try and stretch our resources. If I lose my benefits, the impact will be felt by my whole family, which is very large. It consists of my community, my neighborhood, and my Power Packers, and everybody in this room. If we are spending more of our time figuring out how to feed our children, that is time wasted that we could be spending teaching our children. I urge you to be doing everything you can to prevent families like mine from losing their SNAP benefits. It is your responsibility to make decisions that provide safeguards for families and to raise revenues to sustain life-saving programs like SNAP. And I want to say a hungry stomach cannot feed an inquiring mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Cece, for sharing your powerful story and for the work that you do every day as a home care worker. Next, we're going to hear from some of our legislative champions who are leading the fight in the legislature to make billionaires and large corporations pay their fair share. Starting with sponsors of a proposal to end offshore tax havens, starting with Representative Maurice West.
All right, good morning, everybody. I am here today to talk about something that impacts every taxpayer. It impacts every small business owner and every working family in the state of Illinois. And most people have never heard about it. Right now, large multinational corporations can do business right here in Illinois, make money off of our workers, our infrastructure, our communities, and then legally shift their profits offshore to avoid paying Illinois income taxes. They do it through what's called the 80% foreign activity loophole. If a related company does 80% or more of its business outside the United States, it gets excluded from the corporate tax calculation entirely. That's not a glitch. That is a choice. So House Bill 5318 closes that. My bill amends the Illinois income tax to require that all related entities operating as part of the same business enterprise can be counted together, what's called combined reporting. If you're doing business in Illinois, you pay your fair share in Illinois, period. This is about fairness. This is about equity. It's about making sure the mom and pop shops on Main Street in Rockford aren't bearing a heavier tax burden than a corporation with billions in revenue simply because they don't have the army of tax lawyers. We are creating opportunities everywhere for everyone, and that starts with a tax system that works for the people, not just for the powerful. I'm looking forward to getting this to the finish line with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative West. We will now hear from the Senate sponsor of a bill to decouple from the federal Trump tax giveaway, Senator Lakeisha Collins.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to talk about a breakup, because when a woman's fed up, she's fed up. Again, I'm State Senator Lakeisha Collins. I represent the great 5th Senate District in Chicago. It embodies the West Side, near West Side and near North Side. And I want to talk about rolling conformity. It's what some people think we're supposed to do about H.R. 1's huge federal tax cuts for the wealthiest in our country. We're expected to conform with them, just automatically adopt their tax code to match them. It's a funny thing how often we automatically conform in ways that make the very wealthy, billionaires and big corporations even richer at the expense of working families. We never voted on this, and I don't think it would pass if we put a vote to it. People would be and should be ashamed to vote for something like this. I've seen the disinvestment in our blocks firsthand. I know exactly what the loss of money looks like. It looks like the after-school programs that never stayed open. It looks like the affordable housing projects that never broke ground. It looks like the crumbling infrastructure in the parts of town that corporations drive through but never invest in. The truth is larger corporations that will benefit the most from this conformity, because they make a point of fighting aggressively to make sure they don't pay their share of the Illinois tax load. They don't mind using more than their share of public services, because that's exactly what's going on with big corporations like Amazon and Walmart, who pay their workers so little and refuse to provide decent benefits. They're using public funding as a part of their compensation and labor costs, while the state has to step in and help families to survive. This month, over 150,000 families are likely to lose food assistance. Isn't it time that we take a stand showing exactly what our values are here in Illinois? Instead of allowing the state's wealthiest corporations to double dip, ranking in both federal and state tax breaks, let's not get left behind by Michigan, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and a growing list of other states who are refusing to conform with automatic handouts to people like Jeff Bezos. Evil man, by the way. Like other states who are choosing to live and act in their values, we can say no. The official name for saying no is called decoupling, and it sounds like a breakup, and it is. We are breaking up with abusive corporations that are benefiting from the suffering of our seniors, our children, and our communities. We are putting hard-working families first. We are saying no to lies and exploitation of workers from greedy corporations who profit before people. And I say, in my Lizzo voice, it's about damn time. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Senator. We will now hear from the House champion of the same proposal, Representative Lindsay LaPointe.
Thank you, and thanks to my Senate co-partner, Lakeisha Collins. I'm State Representative Lindsay LaPointe from the 19th House District, and today I am working with the people behind me to make big changes to our tax system in Illinois, because let's be really clear and simple about it. Illinois can no longer afford to be the 8th most regressive tax state in the country. We fixed that by passing these bills. And as you just heard from Senator Collins, I am proud to stand with her and lead the House version of the bill, House Bill 5125, which closes corporate loopholes and it further decouples Illinois' tax code from the federal government. So more specifically, as we just heard, H.R. 1 signed by Trump on July 4th brought significant tax breaks to corporations. And people in Illinois, if we had the chance, wouldn't vote for that. So we have to move forward and decouple from those big tax breaks that we saw in H.R. 1. This is a red flag moment. We can no longer afford a system where the people and the industries that have been raking it in continue to pay a smaller percentage of their income in taxes than a social worker or a preschool teacher. We are talking about people making over $1 million, over $1 billion, and we are talking about big tech. And although some of you have heard, and we're going to continue to hear, that all we do in Illinois is overspend, so what we should be doing now is cutting back, we are here to tell you loud and clear that spending on core services this coming fiscal year is projected to be 13% lower than it was in the year 2000s when Governor Ryan was in office. We are also here to tell you that when you account for inflation, when you account for pension contributions, and when you account for our evidence-based K-12 funding formula, the budget has only increased less than 1.5% since state fiscal year 2020. Write that down, because we are continuing to hear the opposite in the media, and the facts just show something differently. We are not overspending in Illinois. So no doubt we are at a time where the cost of living are choking families across the state. We are at a time when H.R. 1 is about to blow a hole in state budgets, including ours across the country. And we are also at a time when public schools in Illinois won't even be 90% funded until 2037. And on top of all of that, I will say it again, Illinois is the 8th most regressive tax state in the country. So this is what we are going to be tackling in the next 4 weeks, and let's be honest, beyond, because things are going to get harder. So we're going to work together to pass these bills, to get them in a revenue package, and we're going to do that because the people in Illinois not only need it, but they deserve it. That's right. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Representative LaPointe. We're going to go back to the topic of ending offshore tax havens and hear from our Senate champion for this bill, Senator Rob Martwick.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Robert Martwick. I'm the senator of the 10th District, northwest side of the city of Chicago, and some near surrounding suburbs that adjoin the city of Chicago. I am also the senator for the wonderful Representative LaPointe. Happy to follow her and her remarks. And I am so pleased that I get to share this legislative initiative with Representative West. And I know it's more because we share the same vision of how this world should be, not that we both go to the same tailor. But it is always good to see you, my friend. Forgive the moment of levity. We are here for a very serious topic. And you've heard it from the people who have had a time to speak, people who these policies have affected so dearly in their personal lives, and legislators who wish with all of their heart to change the direction of our state and hopefully someday our country. I'm not going to belabor combined worldwide reporting, but it is fascinating. What I would say is that it's not illegal. What they're doing is perfectly legal. They didn't break any laws. But over the course of the last 80 years, every tax change that has passed this country, and many here in this state, have been to the benefit of the wealthiest people and our businesses, our corporations, and the big ones, not the small ones, not the mom and pops, not the main streets, as Representative West said so well, and to the detriment of us. Government serves a purpose. We're here for a reason. We're here to help people. We're here to solve problems. I will never forget a few years ago, I have young children, and I went home and I promised my son that we were going to be done with session. But we didn't pass the budget. And I had to explain to my 6-year-old son why we couldn't pass a budget. How do you explain to a 6-year-old? And I said, well, Dad's friends are having some struggles and Dad needs to help them out. And he said, what do you mean, Dad? And I said, well, we didn't pass a budget. And he said, I don't understand, Dad. What's a budget? What does that mean? And I had to explain to him that we didn't have enough money to do all the things that we needed to do. And he said, like what? And I said, well, we want to make sure kids have good schools to go to so they can get a good education. And he understood that. And I said, we want to make sure that they have good parks to play in so that they can have fun with their friends and enjoy the outdoors. And he understood that. And I said, and there are some children who don't have enough to eat. And when they don't have enough to eat, it's our job to make sure they have enough food. And if they don't have a roof over their head, we try to provide them a place that they don't have to sleep in the rain. And if they're sick and they can't afford to see a doctor, we make sure that they have money to be able to see a doctor. And he said, well, what's the problem, Dad? I said, well, we're trying to figure out how to have enough money to do all of that. My 6-year-old son walked up to his dresser, grabbed his piggy bank, and handed it to me and said, Dad, take my money and pay for all of that, because we should do all of that. My 6-year-old son. And yet every tax change that we've made in this country has been for the wealthiest people to benefit in ways that we cannot even imagine. And yet, in order to provide those services, we don't have enough money. So in the state of Illinois, we have a massive amount of debt. Do we pay back our debt as we should? No. Why not? Because we can't afford it. We have determined what the cost of an adequate education for every child in the state of Illinois is. Do we provide it? No. Why not? We can't afford it. We know that there are people dying of illnesses that are preventable. We know that there are people that are starving in the streets. Do we care for them? No. Why not? We can't afford it. And yet we give massive tax breaks to people who don't need them. And we ask all of the people who are already suffering and struggling to pay more. I am not anti-business. I want our business community to thrive. I want people to do well. I want them to provide jobs. But I want them to participate in solving our problems, not to avoid it. Combined worldwide reporting, so many of these, is such a glaring example that a company would intentionally shift its profits to a place where they don't have to pay taxes. Why? Why not? They can. I'm not asking you to pay an unfair amount. I just want you to pay your fair share. I want you to contribute to our society so that our kids can be educated, that sick people can see a doctor, that people who are hungry can have a meal in their belly. It's not that hard. Do the right thing.
Thank you, Senator Martwick. We will now hear from champions to establish a billionaire wealth tax. First, from our House sponsor, Representative Teresa Ma.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Teresa Ma. I am state representative for the 24th House District. That is neighborhoods within the city of Chicago, including Chinatown, Pilsen, Bridgeport, McKinley Park, Brighton Park, and back of the yards. So this is a district where 20% of the population lives at or below the poverty line. And, you know, that's not an abstract number for me. Actually, you know, that's data from several years ago. So I'm pretty certain the percentage is a little higher now. But it's not theoretical to me because I have constituents who have come to my office or contacted me directly. Seniors whose Social Security checks are just $5 more than the amount of rent they have to pay every month, right? Folks who live with food insecurity, who are working people on SNAP benefits, but they struggle to make ends meet and run out of food by the end of the month. You know, I have had constituents contact me for help in that situation. And, you know, we're in a district where, you know, I have seen the price of gas approach $7 a gallon in recent weeks. You know, folks are struggling with affordability. They're struggling in general. And, you know, it's not just the 20% who live at or below the poverty line. It's everyday people, right? I represent a lot of immigrants, lower income folks, middle class folks, and everybody is struggling. And, you know, it's not a situation we can cut our way out of, right? So, you know, what we're proposing is that we tax the assets of billionaires at the same rate that you and I pay
in income tax, right? It's only fair. We're not asking for anything that is, different from, what you and I pay. And it's really something that makes sense because it's a loophole that, folks who are billionaires, who are wealthy, who can afford to give a little bit more, that, they don't. But we need to invest in our community members, our constituents, the people of Illinois, and this is how we're proposing to do it. It'll bring in a significant amount of money so that we can preserve the programs that allow our constituents to live and thrive and have quality education and not have to struggle here in Illinois. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Ma. We will now hear from our fearless leader in the Senate, Senator Karina Villa.
Buenos dias. Good morning. Thank you for taking the time to highlight the priorities and the voices of everyday Illinoisans. So first, let's level set the difference between a million and a billion. 1 million seconds is about 11 and a half days. 1 billion seconds is 31.7 years. That's the scale and the difference that we're talking about here when we say millionaire versus billionaire. And here in Illinois, we're talking about 32 individuals that hold that level of wealth, 32 billionaires. Since 2020, billionaire wealth has grown dramatically by roughly 81%. At the current pace, we are on track to see the world's first trillionaire. This isn't about success. It's about an unprecedented concentration of wealth. Senate Bill 3376 will apply Illinois income tax rate to the annual increase in the value of billionaires' assets, their gains. If a billionaire's wealth grows, then that growth would be taxed similarly, like Dr. Ma stated, to how wages are treated for working families. It's straightforward. Billionaires would report the value of their holdings at the beginning and the end of each year, and the increase would be subject to the same rate that everyday Illinoisans already pay on their income. Let's remember, you and I, we get up, we go to work, we clock in, we clock out, we get paid, we get a W-2, we pay our taxes. Billionaires don't do that. Billionaires don't do that. So, as we've already mentioned, on May 1st, 150,000 Illinoisans lost access to SNAP benefits. At the same time, the current federal administration is using those cuts to help fund tax breaks on these exact billionaires. So we are seeing decisions at the federal level that are prioritizing the wealthiest individuals while claiming that there's not enough money to ensure our communities have enough to eat. We can't assume that the federal government is going to come and save us, that they're going to step in and solve these challenges. But here in Illinois, Senate Bill 3376 is an opportunity that we have to act. And those 32 billionaires that live in our state can start contributing to ensure that our children don't starve, that our grandparents don't become unhoused, that the next generation has opportunities to pursue higher education. Illinois families were told that there wasn't enough time to ask the wealthiest to pay a few more dollars, to pay more and to contribute. Yet there was time to move a Bears package that even the Bears management themselves say that still needs changes. When Springfield decides something is urgent, it finds the time. Working families deserve to be treated with that same urgency. I forgot to say, my name is Karina Villa. I am the state senator for the 25th Senate District that encompasses parts of DuPage, Kane, and suburban Cook counties. I highlight that because, yes, there are people living in poverty in DuPage County, which is one of the wealthiest counties in the state of Illinois and in our nation. The time to act is now.
Thank you, Senator Villa. And very briefly, our last speaker today talking about the importance of a digital advertising tax, Representative Norma Hernandez.
Thank you so much to all my legislative colleagues that are here and everything that they've stated. I couldn't have agreed more to just even be here to talk about us getting the bare minimum. Because for decades, we've seen these billionaires and millionaires make so much money. We're not even asking for back pay because they owe us that much money to our communities. We're asking for the bare minimum, which is to pay their fair share. And I'm here and I want to thank the Illinois Revenue Alliance and all of the partners that we continue to organize and advocate to push for our state to do better. Because at the end of the day, the moment is right now. And it is about choices. It's about whether we are going to continue a system where working families are used to carry the burden, or whether we finally build a tax structure that reflects fairness, equity, and dignity. In communities like mine, families are struggling and stretched thin. And they are dealing with the rising costs, groceries, gas. I just spent $70 on gas before getting here, all while we're seeing stagnated wages. And now we are facing the reality of losing more billions in federal resources. This is not something that we can ignore, and it's not something that we can wait on. We do have to act with urgency. And that is why I introduced HB 4894, which would implement a 10% tax on digital advertising for companies making over $150 million in revenue. This tax can generate $1 billion in revenue. Because let's be honest, these are some of the largest, most profitable corporations in the world. They are making billions off our data, our attention, and our communities, and they are not paying their fair share. These companies generate billions in revenue by engaging Illinois users every single day. They benefit from our infrastructure, our workforce, and it's reasonable to ask that they contribute back in a way that reflects that reality. So this bill is about making sure that those who benefit the most of our economy are also contributing back into it. And this is just one option. We also have conversations happening around closing the corporate loopholes and further decoupling our tax code, like our previous members had said, and around making sure that we are not leaving money on the table while our communities are struggling. Because the truth is that there is revenue out there. The question is, do we have the political will to go get it? Our communities are watching us, and they know if we are serious about building a budget that actually reflects their reality, a budget that invests in schools, in healthcare, in housing, and public safety, not just in words, but in real dollars. That's why this week matters and this month matters. We are ready to push for revenue where everyone pays their fair share, where working families are no longer the ones carrying the weight, and where resources of the state actually flow back into our communities that make Illinois what it is. Our families deserve it, and our community deserve it. Thank you. And I forgot to mention, I'm State Representative Norma Hernandez, 77th District. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. We will be taking questions in the hallway, but I want to thank all of our sponsors here today and the other legislators who are here in support: Senator Graciela Guzman, Representative Nicole Grassi, Senator Mary Edley Allen, Senator Ventura. Thank you all for your leadership. And again, we will take questions in the hallway. I'll get you one without a rip.